We'll start in 5 seconds. Hello, everyone. My name is TrupsLP, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Omegon. Say hello, Omegon.
Hello, Omegon.
So I have to tell you, Meg, I'm sorry that I have to do this to you, but we're gonna have to go through some BS Michael Cohen shit.
Who's Michael Cohen?
Oh, Michael Cohen, he was Trump's former lawyer.
Hang on, Trump only had one?
No, he has many. This is just the one that they penned the most.
Wow.
Oh, and Banter says you're thick.
Thank you. You could thank Pencil Cookie for this, actually. I probably should put this meme on the screen. Just give me a second, I'll go find it. You carry on telling everyone about Cohen, though.
Oh. So, for all those who are not as following of American politics as myself, well, it turns out that Mr. Michael Cohen got indicted and found guilty of, or I'm sorry, pled guilty of multiple counts of tax fraud, bank fraud, campaign finance fraud, or campaign finance violations, and lying to Congress. Well, guess what?
What?
The U.S. Congress decided, hey, you know what would be a really good thing for him to do? Testify before Congress.
Congratulations. There we go.
Lovely.
Yeah, I thought so. I can see the chat now. Sorted. It's a one-off, people. I thought I'd just do it so Pencil Cookie would have something to laugh at.
Yes. Yes, I quite like that, actually. I thought the meme in general, the Begone Thought meme is fantastic, and I'm going to use that. I have already stolen it into my meme folder.
It's fine by me. Anyone can use it. It's appropriate that the laser eyes are pointing at me, I guess. I guess I am a thought.
Just as of right now.
Yay. So
the ballerina tutu is quite fitting.
It was someone's suggestion. I just encouraged it.
Yes.
So Michael Cohen is one of Trump's lawyers, and he gets butt fucked. For who was it? Comey, was it?
Well, he got indicted under a lot of other individuals from Trump's campaign when they were searching for evidence of collusion, evidence of... Oh, Nella says, don't use it too much. I'm drawing Comet Thought Slayer. I don't need too many copyright strikes. Alright, fair enough.
Duly noted. And hello,
just let me know when it... Let me know when it exists, and I'll link that too whenever I post the meme. So...
Was it Comey?
Yeah, he basically got wrapped up in the whole shit. Comey was the FBI director who was fired, but...
Okay.
Like, Manafort, Cohen... and a bunch of the other people who were related to Trump's campaign specifically, they all got arrested. Like Roger Stone, he got arrested.
Okay.
So this is just a very interesting one because out of all of those individuals, Cohen was probably the most highly watched. What's the word? High notoriety, I suppose.
Well, I did notice in the timeline that I have that it does. I think most of it seemed to spiral when it came to an allegation against Trump and Cohen saying he paid Daniels with his own money.
Yes, that was. I think that was probably why he got so much more notoriety. The fact that he was part of that whole Stormy Daniels thing. And to Serene, will anyone believe Cohen a convicted liar? That is what we are going to investigate here today. I have pulled several post-it notes worth of timestamps.
And to the chat, thank you very much for the kind words about this outfit. It is a one-off, but resplendent nonetheless.
It's fabulous.
I thought so too, sister.
Ew, that's so disgusting. The phrasing is so bad, Banter Bus. Ugh.
You know what?
Omegon is going to get her taco smashed.
Right.
Yes, that. Um, so yeah, um, it was very interesting to see the media comments about this as it was going on and after it was over. Um, Basically all of them saying, "Ah, Cohen's comments cast shadows on the
Mm-hmm.
Trump presidency."
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
I find it fascinating that people are now choosing to believe him when it suits them. They're ditching any level of skepticism for the sake
Well,
of
you know what?
just getting a point on someone.
Oh, that's the interesting thing, and something that's I don't really have a timestamp for because it was so prevalent and I didn't really care. Um, they kept mentioning Cohen's tale of redemption here.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting to say the least.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I've noticed the where is it? Yeah, it's yeah. There's a lot of timestamps.
Yes, there are, and I'll tell you the specific ones as they're relevant.
Okay, good, because I don't want to keep scrolling down on the video to go and get the timestamp.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you.
I probably have to put some earphones in first, so carry on talking.
Yes.
Excuse me. Earphones.
Yes.
Oh, and thank
so
you,
yeah, we're
Cat's
gonna
Gay, for the $2 super chat. Shima Goggin. That is
McGoggle.
glorious. I like the fact that people think I've changed
Ooh.
gender just because I'm wearing a different outfit.
Yes, right. And also, maybe you could go and help out Magog. He was looking for gypsies to dance for him topless on BitChute.
Well, that sounds like a party, doesn't it?
Yeah. If anyone wants to link Magog here on Twitter, do that.
Yeah, it's at Magog of Fagscar. I think it's just Magog Morscar, but you know.
Yeah, Magog was searching for V, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I've noticed he puts a bit more effort into his videos when he appears now, because he used to just have articles. So he smiles at the camera before he starts, and it's creepy as fuck.
When V smiles, a child dies.
He needs to stop
Puppy
smiling.
dies.
He needs to stop smiling, because it's just wrong. It's an abomination.
Indeed.
Okay, do you want to start with the video, or do you want to do the timeline first?
I mean, we can go through a timeline first.
Okay.
God, when do you want to start?
Well, the thing starts in 2016 January, talking about Russia, about the Moscow Tower project. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, well, 2016, Trump and the Trump organization was in Moscow trying to sort out a real estate deal, as several of you are aware, and maybe others are not fully aware. Trump's primary business, besides being a celebrity, was also being a real estate tycoon. He operates multiple hotels, multiple golf courses, and other, tracts of land in multiple countries around the world. He is internationally wealthy.
I find it fascinating he's managed to turn hotel businesses into something that makes money, since they are very hard to
Hotels are actually some of the only things that make money now in terms of real estate.
I'm surprised. I'm very surprised.
Even warehouses aren't as Well, you got to be careful, Neko Taito. Neko. I'm just gonna call you Neko. Casinos in Jersey are also operated by the Indians or the Native Americans.
The alcoholics, you're right.
Or the Italians. It really depends on which one you go to. Oh, and which ones are still standing.
Yeah.
Atlantic City kind of got a little fucked.
So back on the timeline, in January, in October, 130 grams made to Stormy Daniels.
Yes.
This was to silence her about an alleged affair with Trump.
Yes.
Which I don't really give a shit if he did or not. I just don't care.
It was poor timing for the election, which is why it can be considered a campaign ethics violation.
But at the same time, it wasn't, because it wasn't paid with direct funding from the campaign, because the campaign was funded by Trump, was it not?
Not immediately. Or, well, technically it was funded by himself, but this is where it gets a little screwy, because in October, Cohen pays Daniels 130,000,
Mm-hmm.
or pays the lawyer rather 130,000.
Yeah.
And then over the course of 2018, Trump pays him, or I'm sorry, 2017. Yes, 2017. He pays him back every month, for a grand total of 260,000, because there's a high taxable income in New York. So effectively, they had to pay double to Cohen, and they used the commentary as, "This is my retainer for him as my lawyer. So this is why I'm paying him X amount of money."
Okay. There was another hush money thing paid as well to Karen McDougal.
Yeah, that one I'm less familiar with, and
Yeah,
didn't
same.
gain as much media traction.
I guess it didn't really matter. Then there is a reference in October of 2017 of Cohen testifying to the House and Senate Intelligence Committees. And then not long after, in January 2018, February, he said he paid Daniels with his own money. So
Yes,
I assume
true.
that when he lied under oath, it's possible this is when it all got a bit...
The part which he lied about was that Trump's awareness of the goings on with Stormy Daniels.
Right.
So when he said, when he was asked, did Trump have any knowledge of what was going on between you paying Stormy Daniels, he said no.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lie,
Right.
apparently. Well, based on Trump's actual words, you could say that was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
So he ended up then biting the bullet for that. Since then, he has been found guilty.
Mm-hmm.
He could have served for all the things that he was found guilty of. He could have served over 75 years in prison. He got 3.
Damn. He cut a deal.
He did. But then it was weird, right? So he got 3 years in prison. And ever since then, he has become a staunch advocate for now the truth. Let us speak out against Trump.
So it just sounds more like he's trying to protect himself. I think it's fascinating that, like, because of the NDA being broken by Stormy Daniels, Trump sought 20 million in damages. I've heard nothing of that since.
Because it was technically a binding agreement, but there was a complaint that Trump's NDAs are too vague and actually illegal.
There was also...
Cohen wrote those, by the way.
Shocker. There was also... Didn't Stormy Daniels lose something in court and Trump laughed about it? He tweeted about it.
Like that.
I remember him getting very happy. Daniels suing Cohen for defamation.
I think so.
It's amazing the amount of... I've got a timeline here for people who can't see. I'm going to put it on screen.
Oh, do you?
The timeline events. So, scroll all the way up here to 2006 when Cohen joined Trump, but then it skips ahead to 2015. And you go down and down and down and down and down. It's all quite vague, not very specific, but there's so much going on.
Yeah, there is.
And this year especially.
Without a doubt. With all the fucking bullshit that's happening, I can't imagine that there isn't, fucking infinite amounts of...
That's interesting. 600 plus Cohen documents labelled as privileged are not in fact covered by such privilege. Interesting. I wonder why they were covered by privilege. On privilege claims anyway. It's just... it carries on for so long. Sentenced to 3 years for hush money payments and lying about plans to build a Trump... Right, so I don't understand why he if he lied about the plan to build the Trump Tower in Moscow. I don't understand why that's such a big thing. It's a hotel, isn't it?
Yes.
So what?
However,
what does it matter?
It would be, depending on when he did it and how he did it, it would be considered a violation of the emoluments clause, which is a fancy way to say that you are doing a quid pro quo with a foreign power.
Okay.
And that's technically illegal.
Right. I don't know what to say to that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that's essentially how it ends too. It's like, oh, is it? I mean, maybe. Okay, cool. We done here? Yeah. All right.
He's sentenced to 3 years in prison. Is he out of prison at the moment, or does he have to report to prison at some point?
He has to report to prison on May 6th.
Is he trying to do all this now to make himself look good and get out in half the time or something?
Some would say yes. Some would say perhaps. Some Republicans brought it up in the middle of the hearing.
We'll get to it then. He, I know he's been disbarred in New York. Unsurprisingly.
Yes, he did. 2 days ago, in fact.
That is unsurprising.
I'm surprised it took so long.
I assume they were waiting for the right time to make a big enough statement with it.
Or to play up his victimhood, because he played that shit up a lot too.
He did. Did you want me to switch to the video now?
Yes. So at the first one, go to the 220. The one right underneath that.
Well, I'm going to go to 2:20 11 seconds if that's okay.
Okay.
Because that's the first one. This is how best I can do, really. Right, ready?
Repeatedly.
No, wait, no. It's the second. It's the second one that I had given you. The second.
I'm gonna have
2 hours 20 seconds.
Okay, I'll just do that. There we go.
All right, because
I'm pressing play now.
That's gonna be his first statement.
Okay. Oh, I need to get rid of something. Hang on. There we go. I didn't need the chat thing there because I can see it on YouTube.
The committee will come to order. Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare a recess of the committee at any time. The full committee hearing is convening to hear the testimony of Michael Cohen, former attorney to President Donald Trump.
Mr. Chairman, I have a point of order.
You'll state your point of order.
Rule 9F of the committee rules say that any testimony from your witness needs to be here 24 hours in advance.
I'm waiting to see where Meadows. Yeah,
well,
this is
he's doing it now. Yeah.
We received the written testimony, and then we received evidence this morning at 7:54. Now, if this was just an oversight, Mr. Chairman, I could look beyond it. But it was an intentional effort by this witness and his advisors to once again show his.
All right, when they switch over back to the chairman, I wanna say.
Okay.
I move that we postpone this hearing.
So what ended up just happening there was that there. Well, yes, but there is a rule in this hearing that if there's going to be written evidence or written submission, it needs to be done 24 hours before the hearing so that the committee has
enough time to go through it.
Yeah. Also, your breathing apparently is getting picked up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. My apologies. I was just yawning and dawdling. The microphone's too close as well. In Parliament, we have a similar process where you give the statement you're about to read in Parliament to the opposition so that they have time to form a suitable response to it. It is a courtesy. I'm glad you get 24 hours, to be honest.
Yes, well, that's at least the plan. Mark Meadows is going to make several featured cameos in this because I don't know why, but a lot of the focus about how passionate somebody is about this statement is really centered around Mark Meadows, Elijah Cummings, the chairman, and Jim Jordan, the ranking member.
Okay.
So if we want to go to the timestamp, the 2/17/28.
Yeah, going to it now.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Done.
And
yes. Pressing play.
To the point
Mr.
that
Mr. Jordan is recognized. Mr. Jordan is recognized for his opening statement.
Mr. Chairman, here we go. Here we go. Your first big hearing, your first announced witness,
That face.
Michael Cohen. I want everyone in this room to think about this. The first announced witness for the 116th Congress is a guy who is going to prison in 2 months for lying to Congress. Mr. Chairman, your chairmanship will always be identified with this hearing. And we all need to understand what this is. This is the Michael Cohen hearing presented by Lanny Davis. That's right. Lanny Davis choreographed the whole darn thing. The Clintons' best friend, loyalist, operative, Lanny Davis put this all together. You know how we know? He told our staff. He told the committee staff. He said the hearing was his idea. He selected this committee. He had to talk Michael Cohen into coming. And most importantly, he had to persuade the chairman to actually have it. He told us it took 2 months to get that job done, but here we are. He talked him into it. This might be the first time someone convicted of lying to Congress has appeared again so quickly in front of Congress. Certainly, it's the first time a convicted perjurer has been brought back to be a star witness in a hearing. And there's a reason this is the first, because no other committee would do it. Think about this. With Mr. Cohen here, this committee, we got lots of lawyers on this committee. This committee is actually encouraging a witness to violate attorney-client privilege. Mr. Chairman, when we legitimize dishonesty, we delegitimize this institution. We're supposed to pursue the truth, but you have stacked the deck against the truth. We're only allowed to ask certain questions, even with that amendment you just told us about. Well, Russia's now on the table. You initially told us we can't ask questions about the special counsel, can't ask questions about the Southern District of New York, can't ask questions about Russia. Nope. Nope. Only subjects we can talk about are ones you think are going to be harmful to the President of the United States. And the answers to those questions are going to come from a guy who can't be trusted. Here's what the U.S. Attorney said about Mr. Cohen. While Mr. Cohen enjoyed a privileged life, his desire for ever greater wealth and influence...
All right, you can pause it now.
Dumb.
All right, so I want to point out right now in that pause thing, Cohen looks asleep.
He does.
Cohen's face is going to tell pretty much an entire story by itself in like throughout this entire thing. Now, of course, this is a 9-hour fucking video, like the real video.
Mm-hmm.
This is for all those in the chat. This is the Washington Post's live stream that was put up yesterday. It does include some of their own commentary, which is why it's 9 hours, because they were talking throughout when they had breaks, instead of just cutting it. But everything that Jim Jordan had just said is entirely truthful.
Yeah, I did kind of see myself nodding a little with that. You're legitimizing a lie, you're delegitimizing the institute.
Yeah, and not only that, but it was only a couple months ago, like 1 to 3 months ago, that he was convicted. And they brought him on again.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's like, okay, fucking why?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Do you want me to go to another timestamp?
Yeah, go to the 2:59:55.
Yeah, I'm there now.
Donald Trump wrote you a check out of his personal account while he was serving as President of the United States of America to reimburse you for hush money payments to Ms. Clifford. Is that what you are telling the American people today?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
One final question. The President claimed he knew nothing about these payments. His ethics filing said he owed nothing to you. Based on your conversations with him, is there any doubt in your mind that President Trump knew exactly what he was paying for?
There is no doubt in my mind, and I truly believe there is no doubt in the mind of the people of the United States.
When he says he'll yield, pause.
And these new documents appear to corroborate what you just told us. With that, I'll yield to...
Got it. Go on.
All right, so basically we're at the tail end here of after Michael Cohen gave his opening statement and then the chairman had first crack at the witness.
Right.
I selected this timestamp because they had just gone through a check that they had a photocopy of, in which Michael Cohen has produced of Donald Trump's signature on one of these checks to Michael Cohen to further prove that, you know, he did in fact pay him back, and this is part of the whole, you know, the thing that the Democrats want. They wanted the, not a smoking gun per se, but pretty much the closest that they could get.
Right.
And so that's why you kind of saw Cummins do these lead-in questions, where it's like, is this what you're telling the American people? These things that I have just said.
It's a cheap point scoring exercise. You're looking for those gotchas. You're not looking for anything else.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's sad. What's next?
I'm going through it. Yeah, we're gonna go to 314. That one.
Yep, done. Pressing
My
play.
colleagues on the other side of the aisle claim that they want the truth, that they want transparency and fair oversight, yet the Democrats' witness to testify before Congress today is none other than a scorned man who's going to prison for lying to Congress. Let that sink in. He's going to prison for lying to Congress, and he's the star witness to Congress. If you read this...
I'm going to pause it because I do want to point out integrity is so important in any witness. He has no integrity. Therefore, this witness is, in any case, moot. He is not a witness at all. I'm going to press play now.
Sentencing report on Mr. Cohen, words like deceptive and greedy are scattered throughout that report. It paints a picture of a narcissist, a bully, who cannot tell the truth, whether it's about the president or about his own
Once
personal
he's done
life.
with his question, pause.
Mm-hmm.
But today, he's the majority party's star witness. If the Democrats were after the truth, they'd have an honest person here testifying. And if they were really after the truth, they'd not restrict the questioning to just a few topics. But let's take a look at those restricted topics. Mr. Chairman, the first topic in your limited scope that I can ask Mr. Cohen is about the president's debts. But, Mr. Chairman, didn't Mr. Cohen plead guilty to lying to banks about his personal finances? So we're asking a guy going to jail for lying about his debts to comment about the president's debts. He's the expert. Mr. Chairman, your next couple of topics say that I can ask Mr. Cohen about the president's compliance with financial disclosures and campaign finance laws, but didn't Mr. Cohen on 2 occasions break campaign finance law with his own donations? So again, the majority party's star witness on the president's compliance is a guy who broke compliance laws himself. Mr. Chairman, you graciously allow us to ask questions of Mr. Cohen on the president's dealings with the IRS and tax law. Your star witness here broke the law with regards to the IRS at least 5 times. He pled guilty on cheating on his taxes, lying to the IRS. He's the best witness you got.
When he says, how on earth is this witness credible?
Next up, with the permission of the chairman, I get to ask Mr. Cohen about his perspective on the president's business dealings. Let me get this straight. The witness lied to multiple financial institutions to get loans to pay off other loans just to keep himself afloat, and he's going to be the expert on business practices. Obviously, Mr. Chairman, the witness may produce documents that he suggests incriminates the president, yet he lies to banks. All of those lies were done on fraudulent documents. Documents that he forged. Nothing he says or produces has any credibility. Apparently, he even lied about delivering his own child, which his wife had to correct the record of. Ladies and gentlemen, how on earth is this witness credible?
Dumb.
All right. I don't know if while this guy was talking, you were watching Cohen's face at all, but he's like
He was
nodding. He's like shaking his head. He's almost incredulous.
I did notice he wrote a few notes down, so I assume he answered the question.
Well, it's a very odd thing to watch, because this guy, what the House committee person here is saying, is that these are the things that he's allowed to ask of Michael Cohen. They are stipulations not set by Cohen, but set by the majority party, which severely limit the scope of what people can ask.
Mm-hmm.
For a specific purpose, only so that the questions that can be directed will incriminate somebody else by specifically questioning a lawyer to violate attorney-client privilege. Not to mention, supposed to trust said disbarred lawyer.
Yeah.
Because he's a liar.
It doesn't sit well.
No, it does not. And I'm gonna find one of the more interesting parts, because as much as I could go through point after point of this interesting thing here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I would love to see him under some pressure at some point, but I'm not going to rush that. I'm happy to.
Well, then 338 then.
Oh, okay. Then
that one.
Let's go to that.
The 33830.
Yeah, I got it. Pressing play.
How many times did you meet with him? For $1.2 million, how many times did you meet with him?
I provided them with both in-person as well as telephone access whenever they needed.
How many times? Yes, sir. That's a question, Mr. Cohen.
I don't recall, sir.
So did you ever talk to them?
I spoke to them on several occasions, yes.
How many?
6 times.
6 times. Wow. $200,000 a call.
Sir, I also would like to.
Right,
I also would like to bring to your attention
This is my 5 minutes,
the contract.
Mr. Cohen, not yours. Did you get money from the Bank of Kazakhstan?
It's not a Bank of Kazakhstan. It's called BTA.
BTA Bank, Kazakhstan BTA Bank. Did you get money from them?
I did.
For what purpose?
The purpose was because the former CEO of that bank had absconded with it was between $4 to $6 billion, and some of that money was here in the United States, and they sought my assistance in terms of locating that money and helping them to recollect it.
So are you saying that
Meadows looks pissed, by the way, and I'm going to press play again.
Oh, he fucking is.
Reports that you were paid, in some estimates, over $4 million to have access and understanding of the Trump administration. You're saying that all of that was just paid to you just because you're a nice guy.
Well, I am a nice guy, but more importantly,
I would beg to differ. The record reflects that you're not a nice guy.
Each and every contract contained the clause in my contracts that said, I will not lobby and I do not do government relations work. In fact, Novartis sent me their contract, which stated specifically that they wanted me to lobby, that they wanted me to provide access to government, including the president.
Novartis, by the way, is a Swiss company.
Right. I did wonder. I paused, by the way. I'll press play again.
That paragraph was crossed out by me, initialed, and written in my own handwriting. It says, I will not lobby or do government relations work.
So Novartis representatives say that it was like they were hiring a non-registered lobbyist. So you disagree with that?
I don't know what they said, sir, but the contract speaks
for itself. Have you ever contacted anybody in the administration?
Yes.
When he throws the paper, pause.
To advocate on behalf of any aspect of any of your contracts? I ask unanimous consent, Mr. Chairman.
He hasn't thrown it, but he has discarded it.
Then yes.
Okay. He just put it to one side. Okay.
Yes, that. Okay. So that whole thing is going to come up later, but yes, did you so Meadows is really trying to get to the heart of all the shit that fucking Cohen is accused of.
Okay.
And in that aspect, in doing so, Cohen will do this thing that he had just done there several times over when Republicans run out of time. He says, I don't have an answer to that. Which is the most asinine fucking response. And I can't stand it.
It does sound like the kind of answer that will get under your skin. Not that keen on it myself. I do enjoy him being put under pressure, though. I'd say that for anyone, to be fair. It's always entertaining.
Yeah.
What's next?
We're gonna hit the 35800.
Yeah, got it. Pressing play.
Stated in my testimony. And I am not protecting Mr. Trump anymore. And so, while I truly appreciate taking some of your time onto it, to attack me every single time about taxes, I have no credibility. It's for exactly that reason that I spent the last week searching boxes in order to find the information that I did, so that you don't have to take my word for it. I don't want you to. I want you to look at the documents,
Mr. Cohen,
and I want you to make your own decision.
I need my last 10
Sorry,
minutes.
sir.
That's okay. Let me just say.
Who's the guy asking the question now?
Chairman, he's a House member, Lynch, Democrat.
Yeah, I realized that from the blue tie.
And yeah, so you can pause it after yeah, he says that's all right.
Thank you, sir.
I think that's probably about where you are
Thank you
anyway.
very much.
Okay.
So Lynch started this whole thing off by basically saying, "Oh yeah, all these people who worked with Trump, they were all bad people. They all got found guilty. How weird is that?" And then you see Cohen very much playing to his audience on this one versus Meadows, who he had previously just had this like altercation with. You can tell that he's got like this very flip-flop personality depending on who is asking the questions.
Yes. Sorry, I went completely silent.
All right.
What's next?
I want to do the. Let's see here. Let's do 432.
Yeah. Pressing play.
This meeting occurred just before your testimony before the Select Committee on Intelligence here in the House. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Was that a topic of conversation with the president himself?
If this is the specific instance that I was there with Mr. Sekulow, yes.
So you had a conversation with the President of the United States about your impending testimony before the House Intelligence Committee. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What was the nature of that conversation?
He wanted me to cooperate. He also wanted just to ensure, by making the statement, and I said it in my testimony, there is no Russia, there is no collusion, there is no deal. He goes, it's all a witch hunt, and he goes, this stuff has to end.
Did you take those comments to be suggestive of what might flavor your testimony?
Sir, he's been saying that to me for many, many months. And at the end of the day, I knew exactly what he wanted me to say.
And why was Mr. Sekulow in the meeting?
Because he was going to be representing Mr. Trump going forward as one of his personal attorneys in this matter.
So it was sort of a handoff meeting.
Correct.
In any way, final question, did the president in any way, from your point of view, coach you in terms of how to respond to questions or the content of your testimony before a House committee?
Again, it's a difficult answer because he doesn't tell you what he wants. What he does is, again, Michael, there's no Russia, there's no collusion, there's no involvement, there's no interference. I know what he means because I've been around him for so long. So if you're asking me whether or not that's the message,
all right, you can pause.
Staying on.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a Democrat asking him questions again.
Okay.
So the lead-in of his questions is basically trying to incriminate Trump, therefore, in coaching a witness who is about to give a testimony, which is illegal in the States.
Yeah, I kind of gathered, to be honest. It seemed like he was leading him on.
Right. But what's very interesting here is how Cohen characterizes Trump in how he speaks. So it's not that he will tell you outright what to do. He will, as Cohen would put it, he knows what he means. That is speculative, and that is a lot of what ends up coming up when Democrats ask questions. They will say, "Oh, did Trump do this?" Well, no, not exactly, but I knew he wanted me to do this. Oh, well, that doesn't fucking count.
It's not evidence.
Yeah.
Oh.
And on 434, the next timestamp we're gonna hit, this guy is a lawyer, and this guy is going to hit the nail on the head exactly of what that means.
Okay, I'm gonna press play now then. I should just scroll down. There we go.
You would do what you thought Mr. Trump wanted you to do, not specifically what he told you to do?
At times, yes.
So you just went on your intuition?
I don't know if I would call it intuition as much as I would just say my knowledge of what he wanted, because it happened before, and I knew what he had wanted.
Does a lawyer have a duty to provide his client with good legal advice?
Yes,
Were you a good lawyer to Mr. Trump?
I believe so.
When you arranged a payment to Ms. Clifford, you say in your testimony, I'm going to quote from your testimony, that you did so, quote, without bothering to consider whether that was improper, much less whether it was the right thing to do. You said that, unquote. That's your testimony today. You said you didn't even consider whether it was legal. How could you give your client legal advice when you're not even considering whether it's legal?
I did what I knew Mr. Trump wanted. This conversation with Mr. Trump started.
I didn't ask whether you're a good fixer. I asked whether you were a good
Ooh,
lawyer.
pause that.
Yeah. Paused.
Ooh, sometimes you have to be both.
Yeah, that doesn't.
That is a fucking damning statement of Michael Cohen, not Trump, because in his own testimony saying that I did what Trump asked regardless of whether or not I thought it was legal or not.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then that's why I loved this guy who's a Republican from Kentucky. He was like, "Were you a good lawyer?" Clearly not. No, he's indicted on all these charges and found guilty of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a fucking bad lawyer.
Obviously.
Because right now he's got 2 of them behind him.
Yeah.
And he's disbarred. So clearly something didn't go great.
Yeah, he doesn't look very good, to be honest. And admitting you doing something based on what you think your boss wants, but them not telling you they want it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's not right.
Now instead of going to a timestamp, go to 4:38-ish, like basically early on in the minute, and then press play.
Okay.
Testimony. In the days before the Democratic Convention, you became privy to a conversation that some of Hillary Clinton's emails would be leaked. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Was that in, you said late July? Do you know the exact day?
I believe it was either the 18th or the 19th, and I would guess that it would be on the 19th.
But it was definitely July.
I believe so, yes.
Do you know that was public knowledge in June? This was Mr. Assange, and I'd like to submit this, unanimous consent to submit this for the record.
Without objection, so
Mr. Assange reported to the media on June 12th that those emails would be leaked. So I'm not saying you have fake news, I'm saying you have
All
old
right,
news.
I think you can pause that.
The fake news part, yes.
Yeah, well, okay, so a lot of the comments that are brought up by Democrats throughout this hearing is Trump's knowledge of the Hillary Clinton email dumps.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what ends up happening during these, these questions is: did Trump have prior knowledge to your meeting in July that he just said that an email dump would be coming?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Cohen says yes. No shit.
Yeah.
And all these Democrats, they hit on this. It's a fucking gotcha because that's what they have written down. But when Massey brought out the fact that the Guardian reported that shit in June, whoops, that didn't work out.
Assange already leaked it. Just
Yeah.
It's no longer news.
Now,
oh, what?
Well, yeah. Assange already leaked it. Now, what's interesting is right before this hearing today, yesterday, or the day before rather, Michael Cohen's I believe it was his attorney, went on CNN to talk about the impending hearing. That gained a lot of media attraction. And earlier on in the statements, the parts that we had skipped over, he had been asked by some people if he would be interested in a book deal.
Oh dear God.
And then we have what happens at 4:49, and we're gonna let it go from there.
Okay, 4:49. Here we go. Pressing play.
Will you today to commit to donate any further proceeds to book deals, to film reviews, to charity?
No.
Thank you. I yield my
Will,
time.
will the gentleman yield?
No.
Okay, pause.
Gentleman yield.
Now,
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, what he was asked, hey, you've been approached by book deals, right? Yeah. Do you plan on going through with those? He goes, I don't know. He goes, well, will you commit that any money that you get from book deals will go to charity? No.
He probably doesn't have any money, to be fair. So he probably
Who?
needs it. Cohen.
Oh, Cohen probably has fuck tons of money. He paid for his own travel expenses here.
Oh,
He admits
right.
that during his testimony.
Oh, so it's possible he has a little cash.
Oh, if he's been working for Trump for
Oh yes, but
Was it
didn't
10
he,
years?
He had to take loans out to pay the
the home equity loan.
Okay.
It was a line of credit for a real estate equity.
Okay, that makes more sense then.
So we're just gonna let it play out from here because remember that comment that he made earlier about Kazakhstan?
Yeah, the bank. Yeah, you mentioned that.
All right, keep that in mind when you watch this next part.
Okay, I'll press play then.
Yield.
may I finish?
With the gentleman yield.
Yield to Mr. Meadows.
Mr. Chairman, may I finish?
Mr. Cohen.
May I finish?
Mr. Cohen, he's yielded to me, and so
I didn't finish, sir. My response.
Listen,
I'm
everything's
asking
been
the chairman,
made.
Mr. Chairman, may I finish my response, please?
I'll let you respond, but let's answer his question, please.
Mr. Cohen, everything's been made of your lies in the past. I'm concerned about your lies today. Under your testimony just a few minutes ago, to me, you indicated that you had contracts with foreign entities, and yet we have a truth and testimony disclosure form, which requires you to list those foreign contracts for the last 2 years, and you put NA on there, and it's a criminal offense to not have that accurately. So when were you lying? Either in the testimony to me earlier today or when you filled out the form?
Gentleman's time has expired. Mr. Cohen, you may answer his question and then whatever you want to say on that.
His questions, unfortunately, I don't have an answer for his question. But as
No, Mr. Chairman.
As it relates,
the gentleman is out of order. He said he does not have an answer.
Mr. Chairman, when we were in the majority, with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, hold on.
Regular order. The gentleman has just said he doesn't have an answer, and you had already gone over your time.
He's under oath to tell the truth. One of them is not accurate,
Again,
Mr. Chairman.
You won't have time to answer the question.
Chairman, just a question.
Wow.
Just a question.
Mr. Raskin. Mr. Raskin.
Mr. Cohen.
And then okay, so stop.
Wow.
Okay, do you understand the implications of what just happened?
Yeah, it didn't matter that he was lying. That was party politics 101.
Oh my god, I got so pissed off when I heard this shit. I lost my fucking mind. I flipped out on fucking Twitter, and I heard that. I was like, wait, he just admitted to not only either breaking the law in perjuring himself by not filling out a federal document correctly under the penalty of perjury, or he lied in testimony, which makes him already in perjury. I flipped a shit. I tweeted immediately to fucking Lindsey Graham and Donald Trump Jr. Just to be like, yo, listen, you can't fucking do this. Absolutely not. This is bullshit from here on out. Doesn't matter what he says at this point. He looked at that. He said, oh, the gentleman's question is unfortunately, I don't have an answer for that. I'm like, oh, you scummy little shit, you.
That cop-out answer, I guess, doesn't help.
Oh my god. I mean, fucking cop-out answer is a nice way to say it. He's willfully ignoring that question, and that's why everyone got pissed. Like, everyone's like, what? No. He's under oath. You have to make him fucking answer.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it.
It is quite impressive, the party politics involved here. It's a case of, well, yeah, but you're the enemy. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, at 5:19, this guy is going to talk about that book deal thing in a little bit more detail, and I want to prove a point about Cohen's intentions here.
5:15?
No, 5:19.
Right, okay, press and play.
Close to retirement, you're going to have some type of lucrative deal. And so one of my questions is, and it's come up a little bit, talks with you and your attorney, and there's been talks about members of Congress and staff, and you said there was some discussions. Was any of those discussions that you or your attorneys had with members of Congress or staff or prosecutors to get considerations to favor or other considerations to you or your family in the future?
No, the conversations were about the topics, and because there were things that originally we could not speak about at the request of whether it was the special counsel's office or the Southern District or any of the other agencies, including the House Select Intel or the Senate Select Intel. Sir, just for your personal edification here, I was asked to come here. Your chairman sent a letter to Mr. Davis, and I accepted, so I'm here voluntarily. And
I understand that. But
and if you believe that I'm here...
I understand, I think this is political theater.
Sir, if you believe it's not political theater...
Okay, pause that real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's fucking weird about this statement, okay, at 5:20, he said he was asked to be here.
Mm-hmm.
That the chairman sent a letter to Lenny Davis, who, just for some background information, Lenny Davis is a lawyer, lobbyist for the Clinton administration. Additionally, ever since Cohen has gotten screwed, Lenny Davis has been working with him.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Lenny Davis was with Michael Cohen the night before his hearing, figuring out his testimony and how he would answer.
Right. That's a bit strange.
It's fucking... It is exactly what they just tried to pin on Trump. And not to mention, if we're going to talk party politics, let's talk about the fact that, oh, hold on. I thought earlier Cohen said that it was his team that volunteered to show up and do a hearing, not the chairman. I thought Cohen talked with the chairman to get a opportunity to speak.
Sounds like
that was what the beginning was.
Does sound like he likes to lie. Awkward silence. What now?
We're gonna do, I believe it's 5:25.
Okay, press and play.
Come and testify.
So it's an example of where this idea, this mentality of you toe the line, whatever the storyline or the narrative of the day or the month or the year is going to be, you toe that line whether it results in false testimony or not.
I towed the party line, and I'm now suffering, and I'm going to continue to suffer for a while along with my family as a result of it, so yes.
Let me switch gears quickly before my
Pause
time
real quick.
expires.
Okay, so when I had wrote the note for this timestamp, it was explains Democrats to a T.
Okay.
So this guy who is asking questions, he's a Democrat, and he was basically saying that Michael Cohen, you towed the Republican Party line, and obviously you're going to suffer for it, and it's very unfortunate. But you towed their party line, and you did that regardless of whether that was legal, yes or no. And if you can tell, this was a full setup for Cohen to be seen as a victim in this whole debacle.
Okay. I'm assuming he didn't convince many people.
Well, I mean, it wasn't that he didn't convince people, but I mean, okay, the mainstream media, yeah, but I mean, not so much in the way that would be legal or wise.
Okay. What's next?
Let me see here. Yeah, we're gonna hit 5:33:15.
Gotcha.
Mr. Cohen, during your opening statement, which was at the height of the election, you testified you were actually meeting with Donald Trump in July 2016 when Roger Stone happened to call and tell Mr. Trump that he had just spoken to Julian Assange. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. And you said that Mr. Assange told Mr. Trump about an upcoming, quoting your opening statement, quote, massive dump of emails that would damage Hillary Clinton's campaign. So I want to ask you about Roger Stone's phone call to the president. First of all, was that on speakerphone? Is that what you indicated?
Yes. So Mr. Trump has a black speakerphone that sits on his desk. He uses it quite often because with all the number of phone calls he gets.
Now, in January of this year, 2019, the New York Times asked President Trump if he ever spoke to Roger Stone about these stolen emails, and President Trump answered, and I quote, "No, I didn't. I never did." Was that statement by President Trump true?
No, it's not accurate.
And can you please describe for us, to the best of your recollection, you were present, exactly what Mr. Stone said to Mr. Trump?
It was a short conversation, and he said, Mr. Trump, I just want to let you know that I just got off the phone with Julian Assange, and in a couple of days, there's going to be a massive dump of emails that's going to severely hurt the Clinton campaign.
And was Mr. Trump and Mr. Stone aware of where those emails came from?
That I'm not aware of.
Did Mr. Trump ever suggest then or later to call the FBI to report this breach?
He never expressed that to me.
Did the president at that time or ever since, in your knowledge, indicate an awareness that this conduct was wrong?
Okay, you can pause.
Oh, thank fuck for that. This is going on forever.
Oh, I know. He's a fucking cocksucker. Is what I hate his guts. But that was the whole email spiel that I was talking about. How? Okay, he's asking. Okay, did you want to go and call about this whole data breach? Well, I don't know. It was fucking public news a month ago.
Right.
This. Oh, I just got off the phone with Julian Assange. In July, he tells me there's going to be a massive dump of emails in a few days. Yeah, he told us that a month ago.
That's actually,
none of this is fucking it makes any sense.
Unless he got his months mixed up. I can't think of a reason why he would balls July and June up, or March or whatever it was up.
Well, it's just fucking stupid is what it is. Okay, so the last little piece that I have for you is actually not any of the timestamps, but it's going to be at 8:51:30, and this is going to be Rashida Tlaib's commentary, because this was like the major breaking point of the whole
I have it.
time. Okay.
Ready?
So before we do this,
Okay.
there's a part that we hadn't looked at before that I want to make sure everyone's aware of.
Okay.
When Mark Meadows gave his original testimony, he brought in a Miss Payton, a black woman who worked for Trump's administration, Trump's campaign, and she was there to basically testify that she knew that Trump was not a racist, because that was one of the big zingers in Cohen's opening statement. It's been all over fucking social media at this point that, oh my God, Cohen said he's a racist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Meadows brought out a black lady who basically stood there as proof that the commentary that she would not ever work under somebody who was racist, and actually she is a friend of the family's as well. Okay, apparently Rashida Tlaib took issue with that. Let's watch.
Right.
Finishing up, before we get done, I want to go ahead and.
Okay, just give me 1 second. I just want
Yes, sir.
I wanted to get to Ms. Tlaib and then I'll come to you. Okay, Ms. Tlaib. I mean, they've been waiting here all day. Ms. Tlaib.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, all of you, for centering this committee on our sole purpose is exposing the truth. And some of my colleagues can't handle the truth, and this is unfortunate because it's the center of what is protecting our country right now. The people at home are frustrated, Mr. Cohen, and they want criminal schemes to stop, especially those from the Oval Office. Mr. Cohen, I am upset and know that my residents feel the same way, that a man you worked for the past 10 years is using the most powerful position in the world to hurt our country solely for personal gain. We are upset that some of our colleagues here are so disconnected of what it means to have this president of the United States sending checks to cover bribe payments, not hush payments, bribe payments you made on his behalf. One in 2017 of March, and another August 2017 after he was sworn in as president. They are upset that while my colleagues are trying to discredit your testimony by some of your own unlawful...
Isn't Cummings the guy who was part of the IRS scandal?
Cummings is the chairman.
Right. Presumably.
And lies, that they are disconnected with the fact that you were the personal lawyer for this president of the United States, that this president chose you as his legal counsel. My stance has always been the same, Mr. Chairman, based on
You
the
can keep
facts,
it playing, but I'm going to talk over her for a little bit.
I'll turn the volume down. Give me a sec.
My residents back home don't need a collusion cause.
Go on.
Basically, this is her basically at this point pontificating. She asks him almost absolutely no questions this whole time.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen in about 30 seconds or so is she's going to make a comment that is going to essentially turn this entire committee on its head. And this was probably the only fucking good part about this whole hearing. Like the actual part that's actually commendable. So I'm gonna let her keep talking at this point.
Based on what you know now, based on what we know now, is that individual one used his money, businesses, and platform to enrich himself, his brand, and then the process directed you, Mr. Cohen, to commit multiple felonies, and you covered it up, correct?
That's correct.
You called it protecting his brand, correct?
And him as well.
Mr. Cohen, with this, do you think the President of the United States is making decisions in the best interest of the American people?
No, I don't.
Especially those you said that he used horrible words about, like African Americans, Muslim Americans, and immigrants?
Yes.
Just to make a note, Mr. Chairman, just because someone has a person of color, a black person working for them, does not mean they aren't racist. And it is insensitive that some would even say it's the fact that someone would actually use a prop, a black woman, in this chamber, in this committee, is alone racist in itself. Donald Trump is setting
Mr. Chairman, I ask that her words be taken down.
President, I reclaim my time.
Mr. Chairman,
setting a precedent
Mr.
that
Chairman,
the highest office can be
Mr. Chairman, the rules are clear.
Cover up and hold on to business assets to break campaign finance laws and constitutional clauses. What we have here, Mr. Chairman, is criminal conduct and the pursuit of the highest public office by Mr. Cohen and Individual One. I hope that the gravity of this situation hits everyone in this body
Court report.
and in Congress and across this country. Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
pause real
I
quick.
yield.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, so that was where he then tried to object to her statements, but Cummins made him basically shut up until she stopped talking. What you will see now is utter fuckery.
Oh, cool.
The rest of my time.
Ready?
Mr. Chairman, I ask
Go ahead.
that her words, when she's referring to an individual member of this body, be taken down and stricken from the record. I'm sure she didn't intend to do this, but if anyone knows my record as it relates, it should be you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, I would like to.
Hold on.
I want the words read
No.
back. We want to know exactly what she
Excuse
said
me.
about a colleague.
Excuse me. Would you like to rephrase that statement, Ms. Talib?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can actually read it from here.
She reads it back.
Just to make a note, Mr. Chairman, that just because someone has a person of color, a black person working for them, does not mean they are racist. And it is insensitive that someone would even say racist, say it is racist in itself, and to use a black woman as a prop to prove it otherwise. And I can submit this for the record. If a colleague is thinking that that's what I'm saying, I'm just saying that's what I believe to have happened. And if, as a person of color in this committee, that's how I felt at that moment, and I wanted to express that. But I am not calling the gentleman, Mr. Meadows, a racist for doing so. I'm saying that in itself, it is a racist act.
Well, I hope not, Mr. Chairman, because I need to be clear on this particular. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Meadows, wait a minute.
I've defended you with false accusations.
Mr. Meadows, I'm the chair.
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you. I will clear this up. Now, Ms. Talib, I want to make sure I understand. You were not intending to call Mr. Meadows a racist, is that right?
No, Mr. Chairman, I do not call Mr. Meadows a racist. I am trying, as a person of color, Mr. Chairman, just to express myself and how I felt at that moment. And so, just for the record, that's what was my intention.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Mr. Meadows.
Hold on, it gets better.
Mr. Chairman, there's nothing more personal to me than my relationship. My nieces and nephews are people of color. Not many people know that. You know that, Mr. Chairman. And to indicate that I asked someone who is a personal friend of the Trump family, who has worked for him, who knows this particular individual, that she's coming in to be a prop, it's racist to suggest that I asked her to come in here for that reason. Mr. President, the president's own person. She's a family member. She loves this family. She came in because she felt like the President of the United States was getting falsely accused. And Mr. Chairman, you and I have a personal relationship that's not based on color. And to even go down this direction is wrong, Mr. Chairman.
First of all, I want to thank the gentleman for what you have stated. If there's anyone who is sensitive with regard to race, it's me. Son of former sharecroppers that were basically slaves. So I get it. I listened very carefully to Ms. Talib, and I think, and I'm not going to put words in her mouth, but I think she said that she was not calling you a racist. And I thought that we could clarify that, because you, Mr. Meadows, you know, and of all the people on this committee. This
is getting very murky, by the way.
Yes, it is.
I just thought I'd point it out because I'm moving back here. It looks like it's descending into semantics.
It's actually great. What he just said was that they are actually best friends, Meadows and Cummins.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do we do now?
Well, what's interesting is what ends up happening here is they talk back and forth, and they clear this up, and then what Meadows does is he retracts the request.
Okay.
he requested a request for getting, stricken.
Okay, well, that's good of him.
And okay, so it was really weird because at that point the camera would occasionally still flash to Cohen, and he was basically just looking at the whole thing like, oh, I jumped into the wrong fucking boat on this one. I'm not part of this at all. Keep me out of it. But
so
what I kind of what
no, go on.
What I kind of realized with this whole hearing is that Cohen actually wasn't meant to testify for it. Cohen was meant to testify to inflame either side. Cohen was meant to create division and dissension.
Do you think he succeeded?
I'm sorry?
Do you think he succeeded?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Well, the whole point, and it was very obvious at the end there, because everyone kind of got thrown on their heads for a second. You had Republicans that were basically saying, oh, Cohen's a liar, and I can't believe the Democrats did this. The Democrats are saying the Republicans don't care about the truth. We're bringing in Cohen to give us the full truth, and he's going to go on a path to redemption 3 months after he got convicted. But then at the end, where race was inflamed again, you had a kind of a wild card played, where Meadows was the one to bring in a black person. Tlaib expected a little bit, called him a racist, called the action a racist. Let me not mischaracterize.
Right, gotcha.
But Meadows and Cummins were good friends, and they have a very strong relationship, and they know that it's not based on if one person is black or white. So at the very end, you actually have a more connecting moment than you do a divisive moment. And then it's very important because those people who leave the stream, because that was the end of the hearing there, are now going to have that as the last thought. And wait, that wasn't the plan.
Okay. So what happens now with Cohen and the hearings and stuff?
So what's going to happen now is that the media is going to talk about all the things that Cohen said that were anti-Trump. CNN, MSNBC, PBS, a bunch of other places have already started their articles. They were rolling them out as the thing was happening.
Yeah.
If you were on Twitter in the last 24 hours, you would have seen plenty of now this fucking articles and all that shit. What ends up happening now is the people who watch the stream, like myself, they're going to start picking it apart. And the people who didn't watch it are going to believe the headlines. And Cohen is once again going to be shot into the limelight, and all the things that he did before, it's not going to matter.
Sounds like he's fucked.
Well, it's not going to matter to the public who are, defending him tooth and nail. That's the unfortunate part.
I wonder if there'll be a fanfare when he goes to prison.
Oh, I'm sure.
If we're done here, is there anything you'd like to shill before we finish?
No, not yet. But I am 5 subscribers away from 300. If anybody wants to come by who's already not subscribed to me and help push that number up, I'd really appreciate it.
Link in the description. Thank you all for joining us. Say good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.